Hi everyone, in this lecture we're going to overview Excel's ribbon tab and just the different areas of functions that it has, and also show you how much of it you can show on your actual work screen space, and also cover additional tabs that appear depending on the object that you select in Microsoft Excel. Okay, now Excel's ribbon tab is what Excel uses to basically enable you to perform all your worksheet operations. Now it's divided up into several different tabs. We've got Home, Insert, Page Layout, Formulas, Data, Review, View, and Developer. You can also add your own tab and customize it to include your favorite commands and tools. And you can also hide the complete ribbon as well, including this bit here. Now, this bit here is actually called the Quick Access Toolbar. We'll be looking at it in a separate lecture, but this is just to make you aware of what it is at the moment. We're just going to focus on the tabs here and the commands. Now, just to overview how each tab is set up, basically depending on the area that you're looking into for your Excel spreadsheet, you've got these different tabs, and then within each tab you've got subsections broken up into different functions of Excel or groups of functions. So for example, in the Home tab, we've got a section here called Clipboard, which has all functions relating to Excel's clipboard. Then we've got Font, where for example, you can select what type of font style you want, the size of it, and any cosmetic formattings to it, whether you want to bold it or make it italic or underline or change the color of it. Here we've got Alignment, where you can control the positioning of text and numbers. And similarly, all the way down here, we've got features such as Sort and Filter, where you can sort your data alphabetically or numerically, and also Find and Select, where you can find a specific character or word or number. So just to overview the other tabs, in the Insert tab, we've got literally what it says. It enables you to select features in Excel where you'll insert something. So for example, insert a table, or insert a picture, or insert shapes. So this is the tab you want to go to when you want to insert, for example, a table, a chart, or a filter, or a text box. So all those options can be found in this tab. So this is the tab you'd go to if you want to insert an object into your spreadsheet. Now, most people insert tables, pivot tables, and charts. So for those options, you come to this tab. Page layout. Well, page layout is literally to do with how your spreadsheet is laid out aesthetically, in terms of the margins, the orientation, the size, the print area, the height, the width, and the scale of the sheet. You can also do more fine-tuning controls, such as choosing whether you want to view the grid lines, for example, on the sheet. Now, the most popular options in page layout are normally focused around page setup, and it's basically concerning the print area and margins and orientation. Okay, so let's look at formulas. Now, this is basically one of the most popular tabs in terms of you can use it to add a formula to your work, you can use it to audit a formula in your work, and you can also control the calculation options on your spreadsheet. So part of this course will teach you how to structure formulas and how to understand the difference between absolute and relative references, and all these skills will enable you to use this tab to insert functions into your worksheet. The Data tab. Now this is quite a critical tab in Microsoft Excel. Excel is basically designed to enable you to have some data, perform some actions on it, and get something meaningful out of it. Now, where you get that data from, that could be various sources. It could be internal, so you could type it out, for example, or more commonly, it can be stored in another database and you have to access that database, pull some data through to your spreadsheet, and then you can do your calculations. So this tab here enables you to do those things. So for example, get external data from, say, Microsoft Access from the internet, or from other sources. You can also sort and filter your data. Additionally, Microsoft Excel has also provided a couple of tools to enable you to remove duplicates, for example. You can also use Excel's forecasting functions to predict some sort of meaningful trends for your data. Okay, the Review tab. Now, the best way to think of this tab is if, for example, you're writing your book. Before you get your book published, what would you do? You would spell check it. And let's say, apart from spell checking it, you would probably want to add some comments, for example, to the book publisher, so the book publisher can read it. And last but not least, you'd probably want to protect your work. So this is Microsoft Excel's equivalent of basically reviewing your work. So this tab provides options to proof check your work in terms of spelling and using alternative words, to add comments, for example, to your work, and to also protect your work in terms of protecting your workbook, your worksheet, or enabling specific areas to be edited in your sheet with the other areas being locked. So that's the Review tab. Now the View tab is literally what it says. It basically controls how you view your spreadsheet here. So most people, in terms of viewing it, tend to stick to this option here, Workbook Views, Normal, or Page Break Preview. You can also here, for example, control how much you want to zoom in and zoom out of your spreadsheet. Now, this subsection here, Window, is pretty handy because if you've, for example, got, say, 2 Excel workbooks open and you want to see them side by side, using these options here, you can do that. So you can arrange them vertically, horizontally. Now, apart from having workbooks arranged side by side, you can also have different parts of the same sheet split at different sections. So say if you've got a really long spreadsheet, for example, you could have 2 different parts where you can see the top part of the sheet and the bottom part of the sheet simultaneously. Okay, now the last tab we've got is Developer. And this is basically for people who write what we call macros, which are small programs in a language called VBA. And this tab here gives you the options to do that. So you can access the VBA editor here, set the level of security. You can also insert little controls onto your spreadsheets to make sort of interactive tools for your spreadsheet. Now, VBA is actually beyond the scope of this course, but I'm just overviewing it here just to give you an idea of what it is, and also for you to keep it at the back of your head, because down the line, as your Excel skills progress, VBA is something you want to get into because it can greatly automate your work and make you more productive and efficient. Now, the ribbon basically does take up a lot of real estate space. So what you can do is choose to auto hide it, or choose just to show the tabs, or have everything shown. Now, I generally prefer to have everything shown just because for clarity purposes it's much easier. However, you may have limited space on your screen, so you can choose to hide it or partially hide it. Now, if you do hide it, you get this. So basically everything above's been hidden. Now you get much more space here, but the downside is you lose a bit of visibility in terms of you've got no ribbon. Now to get the ribbon back, you basically just move your mouse over to the top and click, and the ribbon pops down again. Now to get just the tabs, you click on this option, and there, the ribbon has disappeared and you've just got the tabs here. Now to get the commands back, you just simply click on a tab. There. Okay, now one additional feature to mention about Excel's ribbon tab is that sometimes, depending on what object you select in Microsoft Excel, additional tabs will appear. So for example, here I've got a table of sales for a week. Now, if I click on any one of these cells, watch what happens here. Do you see that? An extra tab appeared called Design, which is under the section of Table Tools. So if I click on that, you can see that we've got all these different types of groups of functions which are pertaining to this table. So for example, here we've got table styles, where we can choose a different color scheme for the table. Here we can control the actual structure of the table by choosing whether to have a header row or a filter button. So that's what I call a contextual tab. So it just appears depending on the context in which you've selected a cell in Microsoft Excel. Similarly, I've got a chart here. Now if I click on this, you can see that we've now got 2 additional tabs that have appeared under the header of chart tools, and they're both pertaining to the chart design and formatting of it. So for example, in the design tab, I can control the chart styles, for example. So I could choose another style, for example, that one. In format, I can control, for example, the text fill, the text outline, and the text effects. Now, if I click onto another cell on the sheet, for example here, the tabs will disappear. So that's what I mean by additional tabs appearing depending on the object in Excel. And you'll see this effect when you do your own work and you click on objects and these additional tabs will pop up. Okay, so that wraps up this lecture. Now, I appreciate that we haven't gone into a huge amount of detail for each tab and subset of functions for each tab. And the reason being is that throughout this course, you're going to be learning different features of Microsoft Excel for beginner level. And you, through experience, will encounter these functions through our lectures, and also when, for example, you do the tasks at the end of the section for each topic, and when you do your own work as well. So I believe that learning through example and actually doing the work is better than, in this instance, explaining every single feature of Microsoft's Excel ribbon. Okay, so that concludes this lecture. Thank you for listening and watching.